Hello, and welcome back to the Shadowing Lab. I'm George. We spend a lot of time here talking about routines, habits, and strategies for improving your English. And that's important, truly. But today, I want to talk about something a little deeper, something that often goes unsaid. The truth about learning English. When you scroll through social media, you see perfect language learners. They're speaking fluently, confidently, effortlessly. They seem to have no accent, no hesitation, and it's easy to look at that and think, why isn't it like that for me? Well, today, I want to pull back the curtain. I want to share some of the universal struggles that every single English learner faces, myself included in my own journey of continuous learning. This isn't just about sharing my story, it's about validating yours. And trust me, by acknowledging these difficulties, we actually become stronger. Stick around until the end for a powerful vocabulary deep dive and our essential shadowing practice. Let's start with something I've personally grappled with for a long time: imposter syndrome. Have you ever felt like you're not really a good English speaker, even when you are? You understand complex sentences, you can hold conversations, but deep down, you feel like a fraud. You worry that any moment someone will expose you and say, "Aha! You're not as good as you pretend to be." This feeling, this imposter syndrome, is incredibly common. It's like an invisible wall that prevents you from speaking up, from taking risks, from celebrating your own progress. You compare yourself to native speakers or even to those perfect learners online, and you dismiss your own achievements. I remember a time, early in my own journey, when I had to give a presentation in English. My vocabulary was strong, my grammar was correct, but my internal voice was screaming, "They're going to find out you're not native, they'll see through you." It took me years to truly understand that my unique perspective, my global viewpoint, was actually an asset, not a deficiency. Next, we talk about the most frustrating phase of language learning: the plateau. You know this feeling, don't you? You start learning English, and your progress is rapid. Every day, you learn new words, new phrases, and you feel like you're flying. Your enthusiasm is boundless. Then, suddenly, it stops. You're studying, you're practicing, but it feels like you're stuck on a flat plane. You're not improving. You're not getting worse, but you're not getting better either. This is where many learners simply give up. They think, "I'm not talented enough. I've reached my limit." But the plateau isn't a wall, it's just a different kind of mountain. It means the easy wins are over, and now it's time for deeper, more nuanced learning. When I hit my first major plateau, I felt utterly disheartened. I questioned everything. Was I wasting my time? Should I just stop? It was only by shifting my focus from what I was learning to how I was learning, by embracing shadowing and active listening, that I eventually broke through. The plateau teaches you patience and the value of subtle improvement. Let's confront another major hurdle: the fear of making mistakes. Oh, this one is universal, isn't it? We spend hours perfecting our grammar, learning new vocabulary, but the moment we have to speak, a paralyzing fear takes over. We worry about mispronouncing a word, using the wrong tense, or sounding foolish. This fear comes from a deep-seated desire for perfection. We want to present ourselves flawlessly. But here's the paradox. Language learning is inherently messy. It requires mistakes. Mistakes are not failures. They are data points. They are feedback. They tell you where to focus your energy. Think about a child learning their first language. Do they speak perfectly from day one? Of course not. They babble, they make errors, and slowly, painstakingly, they refine their speech. I remember practicing a particularly difficult idiom for a conversation, over and over in my head. When I finally used it, I mispronounced a key word, and everyone looked confused. My face turned red. I wanted the ground to swallow me whole. But that moment, that embarrassment, actually cemented the correct pronunciation in my mind forever. It became a powerful learning experience. We need to cultivate a mindset of embracing imperfection. Now, let's talk about something that can feel physically draining: cognitive load and overwhelm. Have you ever had one of those days where you're trying to understand a complex English article, listen to a podcast, and then participate in a conversation all within a short span of time? And by the end of it, your brain feels like it's been running a marathon? This is cognitive load. Our brains have a limited capacity for processing new information, especially in a non-native language. When you try to do too much at once, you hit a wall. You feel exhausted, frustrated, and sometimes utterly defeated. It's like trying to juggle 10 balls at once when you've only mastered 2. Eventually, everything drops. For me, this often happens when I attempt to consume too much advanced content without adequate breaks. I'd try to read a dense academic paper and then immediately switch to a fast-paced documentary. The result? A feeling of profound inadequacy. I learned that I needed to respect my brain's limits. Breaking down tasks, taking frequent short breaks, and focusing on one skill at a time became crucial. It wasn't about being lazy. It was about being strategic and allowing my brain to consolidate information. Finally, let's tackle a deeply ingrained myth that causes immense anxiety: the myth of the perfect accent. How many times have you heard someone say, "You need to sound exactly like a native speaker"? Or perhaps you've seen countless videos promising to eliminate your accent entirely. This pursuit of a perfect accent is often a futile and detrimental endeavor. First, whose perfect accent are we even talking about? An American accent, a British accent, a Canadian, Australian, Irish, or Scottish accent? English is a global language, spoken with an incredible diversity of voices and inflections. Your accent is part of your identity, a marker of your unique background and journey. The goal isn't to erase it. The goal is to achieve intelligibility, to speak clearly, confidently, and effectively, so that your message is understood. I remember obsessing over every single sound, trying to replicate specific intonations, and feeling utterly exhausted by the effort. It made my speaking hesitant and unnatural. The moment I let go of the need for perfection and instead focused on clarity and confidence, my fluency truly began to flourish. Your accent tells a story, and that story is worth hearing. There is a saying that comparison is the thief of joy. In the world of language learning, it's also the thief of progress. We live in a digital age where we are constantly exposed to the highlight reels of others. You see a fellow student who started after you but seems to speak better, or a YouTuber who claims to have learned English in 3 months. This creates a distorted reality. You don't see their late-night struggles, their moments of doubt, or the thousands of hours they put in behind the scenes. When you compare your inside to someone else's outside, you will always feel inadequate. My turning point was realizing that my only true competition was the version of myself from yesterday. If I am 1% better today than I was 24 hours ago, I am winning. Language learning is a marathon, not a sprint. Sometimes learning a language can feel incredibly lonely. You might be the only one in your social circle or your family who is pushing toward fluency. You spend hours in your room with headphones on, or staring at a screen, while the rest of the world goes on without you. You want to share your excitement about a new idiom you learned, but no one around you understands why it's a big deal. This sense of isolation can drain your motivation. That is why community is so vital. It's why we call this the shadowing lab. You aren't just an individual learner. You are part of a global collective of people who are all navigating the same challenges. When I felt isolated, I started looking for language partners online. People who didn't just want to teach me, but who wanted to share the experience with me. It changed everything. So, after all these struggles, the imposter syndrome, the plateaus, the fear, and the overwhelm, what is the secret? Is it talent? Is it a high IQ? No, it is perseverance. In English, we have a beautiful word, grit. It means having the courage and resolve to keep going, even when it's difficult. Especially when it's difficult. The truth about learning English is that it's not a straight line up. It's a series of peaks and valleys. The people who reach fluency aren't the ones who never felt frustrated. They're the ones who felt frustrated and kept showing up anyway. They understood that bad days are just part of the process. If you can't run today, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. But whatever you do, don't stop moving forward. Now, let's look at the sophisticated vocabulary from today's talk. These are the words that will help you describe your internal world with more precision. First, we discussed imposter syndrome. This is the psychological pattern where an individual doubts their skills or accomplishments and has a persistent internalized fear of being exposed as a fraud. Second, the word intelligibility. Intelligibility. While accent refers to the sound of your voice, intelligibility refers to how easy it is for a listener to understand what you are saying. This should always be your primary goal. Third, I use the term cognitive load. This refers to the total amount of mental effort being used in the working memory. When you feel burned out after a long study session, you have reached your maximum cognitive load. Finally, we have grit. Grit is passion and perseverance for very long-term goals. It's having stamina. It's sticking with your future day in, day out. It's time to train. Let's take the most powerful ideas from today and put them into your mouth. Repeat after me, focusing on the emotion and the rhythm. Sentence 1. My unique perspective is an asset, not a deficiency. Sentence 2. The plateau isn't a wall, it's a different kind of mountain. Sentence 3. Mistakes are not failures, they are valuable data points. Sentence 4. My goal is intelligibility, not a perfect accent. Sentence 5. Comparison is the thief of joy. I am my only competition. We've covered a lot of ground today. I hope that by hearing these truths, you feel a little lighter, a little more understood, and a lot more motivated. You are doing something incredibly difficult, and you should be proud of every single step you take. I want to hear from you today. Which of these struggles resonates with you the most? Is it the fear of mistakes, or perhaps the comparison trap? Let's talk about it in the comments. If this video helped you feel less alone in your journey, please give it a like and subscribe to the lab. We are in this together. Until next time. Stay gritty, stay curious, and keep shadowing. Goodbye for now. For more practice and updates, click on the video you are watching on the screen. Keep building your confidence and get closer to mastering your English fluency. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.